It seems like everywhere you turn these days, everyone's talking about data,
Yeah,
right? It's like the word of the decade or something.
it really is.
So for this deep dive, we're going hyper-focused
Okay.
on one very specific kind of data that's increasingly becoming a big deal,
Right.
real-time price information.
Fascinating stuff.
And to help us really get into the nitty-gritty, we've got a couple of really interesting sources to pull from.
Absolutely.
There's this new note that lays out some pretty insightful points,
Mm-hmm.
and then we've got this use cases.pdf document
Yeah.
that really digs deep into the potential of having this kind of immediate price data at your fingertips.
Yeah, the possibilities are pretty mind-blowing when you really start to think about it.
So before we get into all that,
Okay.
um, I guess we should lay the groundwork here.
Yeah.
So at the core of all this is OpenPriceEngine,
Right.
this platform that basically gives you instant access to prices for like everything.
Well, maybe not everything, but
Sort of.
it's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking what you're paying for groceries down to the individual store,
Mm-hmm.
how much gas is at different stations,
Mm-hmm.
what restaurants are charging for their food,
Yeah.
and even the prices of everyday things you find online.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable how much data they've managed to aggregate.
And the key here is that it's all real time.
Absolutely.
It's not like yesterday's news. This is live up to the minute pricing,
Right.
and you can access it through an API
Mm-hmm.
or even download it for your own analysis.
It's really quite powerful.
So our mission today is to explore the use cases.pdf in detail and uncover just how significant this kind of real-time price information can be.
Okay. Sounds good.
I think the initial reaction a lot of people might have is like, okay, cool, I can find a cheaper gallon of milk.
Right.
But these sources paint a picture of a much broader impact.
Oh, yeah, it goes way beyond just saving a few bucks at the store.
Right.
There are some really profound implications here.
Okay, so the document starts by outlining some unique use cases. And the first one that jumped out at me was economic research and policy development.
Interesting.
So how can having this immediate price data be a game changer for governments and economists?
Well, think about how we traditionally track inflation. It's usually based on these averages, right?
Right.
Which can sometimes mask what's really happening on a more granular level.
Oh, I see.
Real-time data gives you that granularity.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, you could pinpoint very specific inflation hotspots that might get lost in the national averages.
Okay, so instead of just seeing like a national average for, say, the price of bread,
Right.
they could see exactly what's happening in different neighborhoods
Exactly.
or even different grocery chains.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty powerful.
And what's really interesting is how this level of detail could even help explain those sudden shifts in consumer confidence.
Oh, you mean like when you see a dip in a certain region,
Right?
even though the national data looks positive?
Exactly. There might be something happening locally that's driving that sentiment.
And they could see that in the real-time price data.
Precisely.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's a level of insight that we just haven't had before.
And how does this translate into actual policy decisions?
Well, if you can see these trends happening in real time,
Yeah,
you can respond much more quickly and effectively.
right.
Imagine there's a sudden spike in the price of a staple food item.
Yeah.
Policymakers could immediately take steps to mitigate that.
Interesting.
And the usecases.pdf specifically talks about the ability to conduct real-time impact assessments.
Oh, that's intriguing.
So you could see almost instantaneously how a new policy, like a fuel subsidy or a change in sales tax,
Yeah.
actually affects prices that people are paying.
That's a huge shift.
It is. It moves us from reacting to what happened last month
Uh-huh.
to actually being able to anticipate and respond to the economic climate as it's evolving.
So it's like proactive policymaking.
Exactly.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk about the business world,
All right.
specifically competitive market analysis.
Okay.
I mean, this seems like a no-brainer.
Right? It really is.
Having this up-to-the-minute pricing information is like having a secret weapon.
Yeah, it's like having a constant feed of intelligence on your competitors.
Right, you can see exactly what they're charging for similar products
Mm-hmm.
and adjust your own pricing in real time.
It allows for this kind of hyper-competitive micro-pricing.
Micro-pricing.
Yeah, where prices are fluctuating not just daily, but even hourly.
Wow.
We're already starting to see this online.
Really?
Yeah, and it could potentially lead to some really interesting changes in consumer behavior.
So people might start timing their purchases.
Right, like waiting for the optimal moment to buy something.
Interesting.
It's like how airline ticket prices are constantly changing.
Right, right.
Now imagine that same level of dynamism for everyday products.
Wow. That's a whole new ballgame.
It is. It really changes the way we think about shopping and pricing.
Okay, the document also mentions optimizing distribution and supply chains.
Hmm.
How does real-time pricing factor into that?
Well, one key aspect is identifying regional price variations.
Okay.
So let's say a company notices that a certain product
Yeah.
consistently sells for a lot more in one area than another.
Uh-huh.
That could be a sign of inefficiencies in their supply chain.
Oh, I see.
Or maybe there's untapped demand in that region.
Right, right.
This data can help them figure out where to allocate resources,
Mm-hmm.
streamline logistics,
Okay.
and even uncover new market opportunities.
So it's about being more strategic and targeted.
Exactly.
And there's also the whole consumer price sensitivity thing.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
How does that play in?
Well, with real-time data, you can see how demand changes in response to price adjustments.
Interesting.
And you can see that in different locations.
Right.
So you might find that customers in one city are much more price sensitive than those in another city.
Okay.
And that can inform your marketing and discount strategies.
So you can tailor your approach to different regions. Wow, this is getting pretty complex.
It is. There are a lot of moving parts here.
Okay, let's shift gears again and talk about consumers.
All right.
The people who actually feel the impact of price changes most directly.
Right. The ones actually paying the bills.
Exactly. So how can they, or maybe the apps and platforms they use, leverage this real-time data for price monitoring and budgeting?
This is where that new note about immediate convenience comes in.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, imagine you've got an app on your phone
Okay.
that shows you real-time price comparisons for groceries at all the stores near you.
That would be amazing.
Or it sends you an alert when the gas price drops at your favorite station.
That would be a lifesaver.
It would, and it transforms budgeting from this reactive thing to something much more proactive.
You're not just tracking what you spent last month.
Right.
You're actually saving money on your current needs.
Exactly.
It's like a financial superpower in your pocket.
It really is.
And the usecases.pdf takes it a step further, talking about the development of AI-powered budgeting tools.
Interesting.
Software that integrates these live price updates to give you a really dynamic understanding of your spending power.
So it's not just a static budget.
No, it's constantly adjusting based on what's happening in the market.
Wow.
And it could even anticipate future costs based on current trends.
This is like predictive budgeting.
That's really cool.
It's a whole new way to think about managing your money.
Okay, let's broaden the scope a little bit
Okay.
and talk about global import and export trade.
All right.
How does real-time price information come into play in that world?
One of the most fascinating aspects is arbitrage.
Arbitrage.
Yeah. Basically, it's buying a product in one market at a low price and selling it in another market for a higher price.
Oh, I see.
With real-time data, you can spot these opportunities much more easily
Okay.
and act on them quickly.
Right, because the price differences might not last very long.
Exactly. It's like if you knew avocados were way cheaper at a farm stand across state lines, and you could buy them there and sell them for profit locally.
Right, right.
But on a much larger scale.
So it's about seizing these fleeting opportunities.
Precisely.
And the document also talks about anticipating supply chain disruptions.
Yeah, that's another key benefit.
How so?
Well, rapid price fluctuations can be an early warning sign.
Oh, interesting.
So, for example, a sudden price spike in a commodity
Okay,
might indicate a future shortage,
I see.
and traders can adjust their strategies accordingly.
So it's about being proactive and managing risk.
Exactly.
Okay, now, for the folks who follow the markets, how can real-time data on things like grocery bills and fuel costs,
Yeah.
even what we're paying at restaurants, feed into stock and commodity trading insights?
That might seem like a strange connection at first.
It does.
But if you think about consumer spending as a major economic driver,
Okay.
it starts to make more sense. By tracking these everyday prices,
Yeah.
you're getting a glimpse into consumer behavior
Right.
and the overall health of the economy.
And that can inform investment decisions.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
So, for instance, a sustained rise in restaurant prices might suggest strong consumer demand. which
Okay.
could be good for companies in the hospitality sector.
Okay.
And then you have things like household energy costs,
Yeah.
which can be a leading indicator of broader economic trends.
So it's like using these everyday prices as a kind of economic barometer.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's get to the really cutting edge stuff.
Right.
Artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Fascinating stuff.
How can data scientists and AI developers use this constant flow of price information?
Well, this is where the power of real-time data really shines.
Okay.
They can use the OpenPriceEngine API
Hmm.
to feed all this pricing data into machine learning algorithms
Uh-huh.
and train those algorithms to predict future price movements.
With greater accuracy.
Absolutely. And it's not just about forecasting.
Okay.
You can also develop automated trading systems
Oh, that's interesting.
that react instantly to price changes.
So they're making trades based on preset rules.
Exactly.
And what about for businesses?
Well, real-time data can revolutionize demand forecasting,
Oh, I see.
which is crucial for inventory management.
Right.
You can reduce both shortages and excess stock.
So it's about efficiency and optimization.
Precisely.
Okay, the use cases that PDF also mentions academia.
Mm-hmm.
How can universities and students benefit from having access to this kind of data?
Oh, the possibilities are endless.
Really?
Yeah, they can study real-world market dynamics,
Uh-huh.
price elasticity.
Price elasticity.
Yeah, how much demand changes when prices go up or down.
Oh, right.
And they can do this in a very detailed and timely manner.
Interesting.
It's also a great platform for experiments in behavioral economics
Oh.
and understanding consumer psychology.
So you can see how people actually react to different pricing strategies.
Exactly. And for students doing research projects or writing dissertations,
Yeah.
this data can be a goldmine.
It definitely brings those abstract economic theories to life.
It does. It makes them much more concrete and observable.
Okay, let's circle back to the business world one last time,
Right.
specifically retail and e-commerce.
Okay.
How can they use real-time price data to gain a competitive edge?
This data is like a constantly updating map of the competitive landscape.
I like that analogy.
They can use it to automate dynamic pricing.
Dynamic pricing.
Yeah, so their prices are constantly adjusting.
Based on what?
Well, what competitors are charging,
Uh-huh.
changes in regional demand,
Okay.
even the time of day.
Wow.
It's all about maximizing profitability and staying ahead of the curve.
So it's like supercharged price optimization.
Exactly.
And the document mentions personalized pricing
Right, so you could offer different prices to different customers.
based on their past behavior or price sensitivity.
That's a bit
It's sophisticated.
It is, and by analyzing all this real-time purchasing data,
Yeah.
retailers can identify emerging trends much earlier
Okay.
and fine-tune their marketing efforts.
So it's about being more responsive to both the market and individual customers.
Precisely.
Now, the use cases.pdf also highlights sustainable energy and utility planning. That's an interesting one.
It is, and it might not be the first thing that comes to mind,
Definitely not.
but with real-time data, you can analyze household energy consumption
Okay.
in relation to price fluctuations for fuel and electricity, and that can help energy providers develop more efficient pricing models.
Interesting.
And by monitoring these real-time price changes,
Yeah.
they can optimize their supply adjustments.
So it's about making the whole system more efficient.
Exactly.
And what about the broader impact on sustainability?
Well, this data can provide valuable insights for policy initiatives
Okay.
that are aimed at encouraging energy conservation and reducing emissions
Oh, I see.
by showing how price signals influence consumer behavior.
So it's about using data to drive positive change.
Absolutely.
Okay, the last use case the document covers is food security and agricultural planning. Now, this is a really crucial area.
It is, and real-time price data can make a big difference.
So,
Well, by tracking price volatility for essential food items,
yeah.
governments and aid organizations can anticipate potential shortages.
And intervene more proactively.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really important.
It is, and it's not just about preventing shortages.
Right.
Real-time prices can also help farmers.
How?
Well, if they know the current market prices,
Mm-hmm.
they can make better decisions about when and where to sell their crops.
Oh, I see.
So it can potentially increase their income
Right.
and reduce food waste.
That's a win-win.
It is, and this data can also be used to support humanitarian aid efforts
Okay.
and make sure that food subsidy programs are effective.
It's amazing to think about how this data can have such a tangible impact.
It is. It really underscores the importance of having access to this kind of information.
Now, our sources also give us a little bit of background on the team behind OpenPriceEngine.
Right.
It's actually managed by a company called 24 Products.
Yeah, based in South Africa.
And the usecases.pdf mentions Tony specifically. He's the CTO and a data engineer.
And Tanasha, their head of business development, who is based in Zimbabwe.
It's really cool to see this kind of innovative solution coming out of the African continent.
It is. It just goes to show that data-driven solutions are truly global.
Absolutely.
There's no one region that has a monopoly on innovation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
it's clear that the potential applications of real-time price data, as laid out in the usecases.pdf and our other source, are incredibly diverse and far-reaching.
They are.
It's not just about finding a good deal.
No, it's much bigger than that.
It's about enabling smarter, more informed decisions across almost every aspect of our economic lives,
Exact.
from governments to businesses to individual consumers.
Everyone can benefit from this kind of information.
Really quite remarkable.
It is. It has the potential to change the way we think about the economy.
So here's a question for you, our listener.
Okay.
How do you think real-time price data could impact your own decisions?
Yeah, it's a question worth pondering.
Whether it's your personal finances or your business or just understanding the economic forces at play. It's definitely something to keep an eye on as this technology continues to evolve.
Absolutely. It's going to be fascinating to see how it all unfolds.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive,
It's been a pleasure.
and we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.